So they call it the hard problem of consciousness. And I was wondering if maybe this is a bit of a misnomer. Um, because, to call it the hard problem is kind of implying that the solution to it will only come after putting in a lot of long, hard hours in the laboratory, measuring the empirical data and collecting and recording it, maybe for many years until, one day some genius will come along who can synthesize it all and come up with a coherent, grand narrative about what it all means and solve the problem of consciousness. But I was wondering if maybe it's actually a soft problem, and it's not that we need to collect a lot more data before we can come to grips with the difficulty and complexity of the problem. It's more that it's a soft problem, and because it's so soft and so delicate, our method of inquiry is disturbing the initial or primordial clarity that's there before we ask this question. We ask the question, what is the mind, or how is mind separate from body, or how is it that I am a subject having an experience, a personal experience, when everybody else sees me as an object, as nothing but a collection of physiochemical reactions and patterns of energy. How is it that I'm both of these things at once? But, before we ask that question and before we frame it in such a dualistic way, is it really like that? And, there's kind of a little bit of paradox there, because I'm saying, is it really like that? Which is, I'm contradicting myself, because when I say, is it really that, I'm asking, is that what it is in its essence, in itself? But when I say, is it really like that, I'm asking, does it appear that way? So I'm asking, does it truly appear that way? And just by asking it, or framing the question in this new way, it's showing the coincidence of what we thought were opposites of subjectivity and objectivity, freedom and determinism, self and other. We think of these as opposites, but they coincide. You don't get an object without a subject, or a subject without an object, or you don't get an I without an it, a me without a you. And we don't normally take this into consideration. Normally we think, objects are one thing, they're objective, and subjectivity is another thing, and you can, separate them whenever you feel like it. What if the reality is not like that at all? What if the reality is that we've built up this social way of commonly interpreting the world based on, the language that we use to communicate with one another, that's somehow not incorrect, because it's not that this language that we've built up was ever supposed to mirror the world in itself. So to call the language incorrect because it's not representing reality objectively, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it was never meant to do that to beginning. That language wasn't invented. It's rather a continuation of something that's been going on in nature since life first began. Even the simplest single-celled bacteria can exchange DNA, not just sexually, or not sexually at all, but one living cell can exchange DNA with another living cell without having to reproduce themselves. It's the same cell, it just communicates with another cell and exchanges DNA. And bacteria don't need to reproduce sexually like most animal life does, and plants, some plants at least. So there's communication in, the exchange of what we call information between, all kinds of organisms. Humans aren't unique in that sense. We're not even unique in the sense of oral communication using sound vibrations. Parrots can do it. Dolphins can certainly do it. Chimps can be taught not to speak, but to use conceptual language. Humans aren't unique in that sense. Language is a natural activity that doesn't represent the world, but that allows human beings to structure cultures and societies, which are just these shared imaginary worlds that we enact, we bring to life with our language and our communicative abilities and our need to be with and understand others. Speaking a language is not something that you can do as an individual.